I know this is your favorite activity, right? Is speaking.
Sure is.
Yeah. So when you say they're not at many panels, this is in fact very special because they've been convinced to make a stage appearance. You begged. But yes, we are here to talk about a home that we featured in our we are featuring currently in our latest issue. And I actually remember when I had just begun at ELLE DECOR, and I remember our interiors editor coming back from LA basically breathless about this home. So this is a different project actually, so we'll cycle through too, that we are gonna talk about as well. But I recall the conversation we had about this home, and we feel so lucky that we were able to feature it and to showcase your work. And it's even more stunning in person, as the best projects are, I think. It's almost, I always feel trying to wrangle them into 2D and really express what they are is always a challenge. But in any case, I know we've talked a bit about the home, and sort of, I was thinking about first encounters and what it felt like when you first saw the house in the before state.
I mean, the house is magical now, but it was magical then, I would say. Like, you just knew what it could be.
Mm-hmm. When we first went there, I remember they had these Italian stone pines, these big Italian stone pines in the backyard, and you thought, oh my God, this is like, you feel like you're in Italy or something.
And there's one thing, it's set up in the hills, so basically there is this like incredible vista that you only get in LA. The topography is so interesting. So I think that's part of the joy of the setting, is you kind of enter and it's a bit sort of hidden and secret, and then
and when we saw those, I felt like, oh, that it almost felt like it was the thing. And then the more that we worked on it, we realized we were going to actually have to get rid of them because of regulations in that part of Beverly Hills. But I think it actually it embodied.
Wait, so you're saying you follow the rules?
It all embodied.
You're an architect who follows the rules.
Well, not all of them.
Okay, good. Much more exciting.
Anyway, I feel like we captured that.
Yeah,
in the new space. So.
And there is, and I know in our story also we heard from the homeowner about their first encounter with the space, where it was like so exciting to see what this home was and could be. And one thing that's really special about it is like it's sort of a series of, it's set back from the street, but also in itself it's a series of kind of like volumes that are interconnected. And then it is very much about indoors and outdoors coming together. So I just wanted to hear a little bit more about, how you worked with what was there and then emphasized what it could be.
I feel like when we first saw it, you felt like there was very much a magic to the space. And the house had certain things that responded to that magic.
Oh, and this is actually,
amazing.
We can't go back, but there, if you look when it comes by, there's like a sort of gallery space that was, that is something that's very special in this house, and that is something that you kind of helped create, basically. So when it comes back, I would keep an eye out for that.
You also don't see the house from the street, so.
Right, it's all kind of hidden, like
a
courtyard in New Orleans or something. Like you don't know what's behind the gate, and then you go back there. I don't know. I think we tried to hold on to whatever we could find that was magical about what was there, and then add on to that with the modifications that we made.
And what was one of the sort of more significant modifications that you were able to make? Is it in the windows and doors, or?
I mean, I was going to say the windows.
Yeah, the windows and doors were. I mean, they opened up to the vistas, but they were very wide mullions and muttons, and we worked with a great company, Steelworks, et cetera, that has this amazing project that our client found, not us, which is really great. And all you want to do is work with them again
I've
and
never
again
seen people
and
so
again.
excited about doors. You guys.
They're so good. They're so good. You guys
They're
got to see
opening,
them.
closing. I have pictures of both sides. It's the steel on one side, the wood on the
It's
other.
like a traditional steel
you can see
window,
in
but it has
not this, but in the
the
images.
same profiles on the inside that are wood, and they're very special, and they feel really great, and your views just open up from them, and we widened up some of those openings, and they feel warm inside.
Definitely.
It's not all steel.
And we also, when you walk in, it's kind of inside outside with limestone, herringbone flooring that I think really added something too.
Because that's out around the pool, it's around the terraces, and then it comes all the way through the entry gallery, and it makes you feel like the house doesn't stop at the walls. The house is the whole property, which makes the whole thing feel much more interesting, I think.
Oh yeah, and here's the gallery came back. But no, that is something I think that you're absolutely correct. I think porousness was a word that was in our story, and it's a word that I think does really come to mind.
Yeah.
And to your point, it's sort of a collection of almost outdoor rooms and then the indoor rooms as well. And one thing we talked about before, but that I think about when I look at Mark's work and your work is the element of light and how you work with light in the architecture and design. And this house is such a good example of that, but I wanted to hear from you what your sort of thinking is around sort of like light and space.
One thing with Mike, he's always focused on, how would you describe it? Like a space leading into another, like everything is,
Trying to see light in multiple directions.
Yeah.
Right.
From multiple points so that it feels more open to the whole.
And you mentioned something about the site that you could see sort of like the scope, but not to unveil it all at once.
Yeah, when we first walked in, and I mean, the site is unbelievable. You literally look out from the Los Angeles basin all the way across the Pacific Ocean, the Santa Monica Mountains, and you just like, your first instinct is like, oh my gosh, you have to reveal all of this everywhere you stand. But the reality is it's so much better when they become surprises around different corners, and you're aware of it, but when it reveals itself a little more slowly, it's a little more exciting.
And the bedrooms themselves also have different entrances as well, correct? So it's like a house
Exterior,
that's not monolithic, as it were. So how did you approach that?
Well, there is no garage now, and that became a room you go outside for.
Yeah.
2 rooms you go outside for, which I think really adds to like a,
It makes the whole thing feel bigger.
Resort, but it's not quite.
Yeah, because when you go to your room there, you're not just walking down the hallway and going through a door. You're going through a courtyard that has a view that links to another courtyard, and so I think that's a pretty amazing aspect of it, and something that most clients would be like, I don't think we're going to do that.
Exactly.
But it's one of the things that gives it a magic that's really unique.
You can have
and
some
special.
umbrellas for when you go to your room in the wrong weather, a little bucket. But so obviously you both have worked together so much that you basically finish each other's sentences, but literally. But that's not always the case, I think, as we all know, with architects and interiors. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your, collaborative approach and how you work together.
I mean, it's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel really lucky because
Are you in each other's contracts? It must be.
well,
it would be
Almost.
ideal. We should change that.
That can be a new line item. But yeah,
with certain exceptions that are in the room.
Yeah, but I do. But it is. It was very interesting to hear, and I would love you to expand on it for all of us about literally how it's sort of from the inception that you both come together to approach the project. As you pointed out, I think you said it was not 2 separate practices.
Yeah.
No, that is really how it works.
That to me, and this is a hard thing to find, I think. You know, I think so often interior designer thinks one way and an architect thinks another way, and they both think that they can't make that come together. But if you can overlap those things, to me, that's when it feels super magical, and it makes it better than what you would do either way.
Right.
And I feel like you always make me better.
Well,
And by the way, like interior design, that's not what Mark does. Mark is he's a creative, and he thinks about everything from the material that's outside of the pool to the vista that's over here to how this whole thing feels. And that's how I want my work to be, I want it to feel like something really special and unique that you can't experience. And that's what you get when we get the opportunity to do that. It's so good.
Was there anything with this project where you really, where did you start, first of all, with this? Like, so for an example, where did you begin?
Good question. Well, I mean,
Lost in the sands of time.
This wasn't the start, but Mike also does incredible sketches, renderings by hand that really convey what it is. But, you know.
Well, it's so funny because when I first started to do those sketches for Ralph Lauren years ago, I would never put color on them. Until Mark and I started working together, and he taught me how to put color on them. And all of a sudden you realize if you put, you know, the green that's outside of that window on a vase that's over here, your eyes cross over and the whole sketch comes alive. And I look back at some of the old ones that I used to do before we did that, and it's like, they're just so flat. And I just love that. I don't know. I was kind of afraid of color for a while.
We know that. Yeah.
So
I think many people are. I think that's like a, you know.
I'm not afraid of it. Just like not. I didn't feel competent in using it, and now I'm sure I put color on the drawing sometimes, and Mark's like, I don't think that's exactly the color we should use.
He's like, that's not.
Could you lighten that up a little bit?
But even that we go back and forth on it.
So good.
Yeah.
And is there do you have personal favorite spaces in this
general?
project? No, in this project.
Well, I really love the living room, which I loved the minute I saw it. It has the same ceiling, which was tray ceiling, which is great.
Into the kitchen.
It just feels great, and the whole house feels great, and the gallery feels great.
I like how it weaves from inside and out, and the courtyards feel like they flow through it, and I don't know. You feel like you're part of the property, not just part of this room or this outdoor experience or this vista. You're just in this experience that feels good.
Yeah, and you could just keep going. You could just, it doesn't really stop.
And, you know, I promised I wouldn't ask you any direct questions. I'm already breaking my promise. But I am curious about how you worked with the outside and bringing the outside in with the interiors. Was there any, I know that beyond the use of there's a very, very interesting, plants inside, which I love. But just the decor itself sort of does really, you feel like it's very seamless with outdoors.
I don't know if it was a specific, a specific thinking about, you know, I just had a feeling for this house the minute I saw it, you know, and knowing the client, you know, that made it easy too.
Yeah. And I wanted to go back in time a little bit to your first project together that we talked about this morning. I found it's so interesting because I think you'll see this one, here we go. So it's so markedly different. It really shows the sort of breadth of your collaboration, I think. But so I wanted to hear a little bit about how that project came to be and what the experience was like working on it. Mark's like, actually. And
how did that project come to be? It was a tough project.
That's what I think that's sort of,
it was a tough project.
Interesting, this is in New York, first of all. I think you can tell. It's like very different.
She asked us earlier, what project kind of started things, and together, and that was the one I would say.
That was our first professional thing. I mean,
Yeah.
we worked together at Ralph Lauren, but we didn't know each other very
Oh,
well.
how funny.
then.
And that apartment.
We're
was-
both so quiet, we both thought each other probably didn't like one another. So
We were each in,
Just like studiously
each
avoiding
corner.
each other at the coffee machine.
No, that one was,
that was a 3-bedroom that became a 1-bedroom.
yeah,
Based
and
on the
sold for
client.
more money than anything in the entire
It set the
building
record for the
ever.
building. Okay, I'm going to do a little, so we can switch. You,
So everybody
you said
thinks you
what the question
can't,
was.
you
I'll
can't
say
do
what
that.
the
You can't
answer
take away a
is.
bedroom. Well, you can.
Yeah, but basically, it's in New York. Can we say the building, the United?
Yeah.
Basically,
United Nations.
yeah. And it had since after their intervention, it set the record for that building. But went from a 3-bedroom to a 1-bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
the inverse of what many people do, which is pretty bold. And then the design of it is pretty bold. But you were saying that there were some like constraints and difficulties with it.
Well, yeah.
I
Go
did
ahead.
I did a lecture for it at a university, and I showed the plan, and then I showed the plan highlighted with all the constraints we had to deal with. And it was like, it looked like somebody just threw dice down on the table, and wherever they landed, that's where they put a column or a pipe. And you're like,
So
how do you
basically
make any
nightmare.
sense out of this?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we excel, when we find the sense in the middle of it, and like some kind of alignment that you think could never exist, and
Right.
it does.
Is that also when you knew, okay, we can work together? Once you've been through that, you're like,
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
was
was
very-
that was easy with us. It wasn't us that was the problem.
No. No. And it was a learning experience for the client too.
Yeah.
I remember he didn't want anything old. And like you were saying earlier, like he wanted the ceilings to all be the same height.
Yeah. Well,
He came around.
we would get into, I'd go out on the site and I'd be like, why is that vestibule up here? And they're like, well, the client came in and told us to raise it. I'm like, I don't care what he said, put it back the way it is in the drawings, because that's what you're contracted for, and I'll have a discussion with him. And we would,
Oh my gosh.
we would get
Yeah.
into like an hour argument on the phone. But in the end, he kind of
Yeah.
appreciated where that ended up. Not that it has to be my way. It just has to be the right way.
that's not what I've heard.
And he didn't understand that wasn't the
Yeah.
right way.
yeah. That's so fun. And I love that it has such like bold use of color, which is something that we talked about. We're like, I do color, definitely. The other thing we talked about is as sort of the role of comfort, and because that I have found that that's something that people have very strong feelings about. They either want something extremely comfortable, or they're very against comfort because they think it's sort of more elevated or something. And I found it very interesting how in your projects and in the spaces, there is a sense of like, oh, I can breathe. I want to stay in this room. I can actually sit in this chair or, sofa. And I was wondering, you had some thoughts on how you walk that line.
I mean, I would say we're very conscious of it. And I think Mike brings a warmth in the architecture also, which I think adds to that.
I think, I mean, in working with Ralph Lauren for many years and with Mark when I was early in the formation of our firm, architects, they think from the outside in, and he taught me to think from the inside out.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And so
what do you mean by that exactly?
I was going to ask that too.
Well, I mean, like, you think about how are you going to live in this space?
Yeah.
Not just what is it going to look like? What's it
Right.
going to feel like? How are you going to sit in there,
I've learned what people call it when it's just what it looks like. It's called editorial, which I actually I find quite rude. I'm like, we also like comfortable things.
Yeah, there you
When
go.
it's just for the picture, it's called editorial work. But anyway, so you can do both.
I had a new interior designer that we're trying to figure out how to collaborate with, and they were like, well, we're going to draw the furniture after you guys have presented the architecture. I'm like, I'm never showing a furniture plan. I'm never showing a floor plan without furniture in it. So you
Oh,
can
right.
show me what you want to put in there, or I'm going to show something, because it has to have a point of view. And even when we start, I'll show stuff, and I know Mark's going to be like, I know what we should do with that, and we move it around, and it's so much better. But if you aren't thinking about that from the beginning, I feel like you're like
Definitely.
missing something
The
really
rooms won't
good.
work, basically,
Yeah, it's
which
just-
is true. And then I loved, because there's you also obviously have your furniture line, but I love hearing your trick to make something look, sort of, to be comfortable and then still
Well, we
look
were just
very-
talking about, I really like tight back things because
the tight back upholstery.
you don't have to, it's one less thing to worry about, and it can still be comfortable.
It is.
Thinking you've got to like cinch it, like cinch that.
Yeah, especially if
sofa
it's, I mean, I
tight.
shouldn't say this, but especially if it's
Yeah.
like a, you know, what's the word? Mass-produced.
He's like, what is that sorry, what is that horrible phrase? It's, yes. And then also the upholstery was something, and then was something that you think about deeply, obviously, but the sort of working with the
Yeah.
types of upholstery.
Upholstery or?
You get a lot about upholstery. Anyway, and then you can't have the pointy eared
That's
cushions.
just, I have, yeah,
Yes.
that's just, I don't like pointy corners on pillows, or, you know, where they're like.
Which by the way, I actually didn't know this. To have, I learned this today, to have a square pillow, you actually have to have it be rounded.
Yeah, cut the corners.
Yes, cut the corner. No, yeah, you can't have the ears on the.
But you see it a lot.
cushion. Oh, we see it a lot. We see it a lot. Yes, the chop.
The
The
chop.
chop.
We don't do the chop.
This group is anti-chop.
Let's hope.
But I didn't realize that actually to make this shape successfully, it actually
Yeah,
has to
it's
be
cut.
a little more gracious in its,
Mm-hmm.
design, a little more rounded. And then the other thing we talked about that I thought was so interesting were about the gutters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In this house,
Well,
they were exposed
okay,
to begin with.
I think the thing I find, I didn't realize the gutters were one of my favorite things, but because I always thought stairs, because they have to be so functional, but so it has to work a very specific way, but there can be so much beauty in it, and I think the same thing is true with something like gutter. Like the ones that were on the house to begin with were, I don't know.
You almost
They
jumped
just
into
felt
the
like they
canyon.
were a
It
gutter,
was-
and it's not that it can't be a gutter, but could it be part of the architecture and just feel like it's part of the design? And that was what we tried. And it wasn't easy. It felt a little bit of a struggle, and you weren't really sure we were going to get there.
But it worked. What?
The gutters.
Well, the rest of the facade is a soft plaster, and they have a kind of a gunmetal color, but they're sort of part of the flow of the facade, not just stuck on.
Right.
And one thing I love to always ask is about pet peeves, but I know we know that bad gutters are one of yours and the ears are one of yours. But then you also talked about the things that you especially love. Like you had said like the sort of the lip edge. And
Oh,
like
there's just,
things,
yeah, I mean, certain details, like I love a lip on a table.
I love when you go to a place and it feels better in real life than it did in the photos. And I
Oh.
know that's hard to say, an editor of, but
This is one of.
but
is incredible.
it's true. I find
Yeah.
that so much, but I don't know.
And is there? Mark's like, I would love to. But in any case, is there anything? I mean, besides the lip edge, was there anything else that you especially love,
Well,
or you find yourself turning to?
they were just yelling, I love ladders, which I do, but that's
Yeah.
not. I love ceramics.
Mm-hmm.
Something I do, and I think every project probably has.
And do you have like specific sources that you turn to, or artisans that you work with for that, or do you sort of find things as you?
Find and also he's not living now, but John Ward, I'm really obsessed with. But yeah, pretty much ceramics are definitely a big one.
And I think it's quite interesting because in your description of how you work, which is intuitive,
Sure.
because there are certainly people I've met who are sort of very much the inverse, who work in very, very sort of planned and planned again and Excel sheets and planned again, kinds of ways. But you were saying that you kind of have really just like a feeling for a space.
It's definitely, I look for images and, Pinterest to convey to the people that work with me, to kind of set the mood so they kind of know it helps them. Because I don't, obviously I'm not an articulator.
I mean, you don't need.
So.
That's not a prerequisite for this. But I think that is interesting because it's really like, to me, that's almost like how an artist might work, or like just looking at a canvas and kind of knowing that it needs, this needs to be added, and then you leave, and then you come back, and then, where do you get your ideas from? Just from everywhere, or do you?
I guess from everywhere.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, you can find something anywhere. Like, whether it's good or bad, you should always be looking. Like, we have these, kids come in from schools, and that's one of my big things.
I recently, I don't know what interior school would be like, but I know architecture school, they teach you to rationalize everything and suppress your intuition. And I don't think that that's because they really want you to suppress it. I think it's because they want you to learn how to express what you're trying to do. But at the time, it feels like they're suppressing the very thing that you're bringing. And I recently went to a university lecture in a music class, and it was so great because the guy's talking about how he, modulates the music and everything, and the professor at the end said, it's all about heart and soul and feeling. And I was like, that never came out of one architecture professor I ever had. They might have been thinking it, but they were
like,
sure
please
as hell
don't
not
have
going to
feelings.
say it.
Could you be a bot? We would prefer that. Yeah.
So I like that because I think that's what we try to do, bring a little heart and soul into it.
Are there sort of touchstone like projects that you both look to that you, from history? Are there homes or sites that you just like absolutely love? Not of your own, but that sort of recur in
Worcester
your
always
mind.
comes into
Oh
play.
yeah, we do. Yeah, William Worcester.
You can't really go wrong there.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, sorry.
What?
What building is that?
It's just an
there's
architect from San Francisco, but he did.
We do reference him a lot.
Yeah. We have kind of a favorite up in the Northwest, too.
Yeah, John Ewan, or however say it.
Any place that you walk into, and it just makes you feel so
and it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be.
No.
It just has to be
No,
authentic.
I think that's one of the myths of this, like, sort of practice and world, is that it needs to be, as done and overwrought as like possible to be memorable. And in fact, to your point, it can be quite simple.
Yeah, it just
or
has
like
to,
the place a sort of ceramic here. Like, there's a way of creating.
Yeah, someplace
Impact.
It just has to have authenticity, I think, and a genuine, whatever quality.
like the people you work with. And for.
Yep. And what?
And for.
Right.
Hopefully,
Definitely.
especially in this case.
And what makes you feel like it has been a successful? Do you walk into a space, and feel like, oh, I wish I had done one more thing here, or do you walk away feeling like, how do you know when it's done?
It's usually you wish you did one less thing.
I could go in the space and turn things around, just because. But I don't,
Yeah.
that's
Do
a
you
good
like
question.
doing that with spaces, like kind of like having a laboratory kind of
I guess, yeah,
experience
I
with
think
them?
so.
Yeah.
Mhm. And every project's different, obviously, so some things maybe feel more done than others.
Do you go into install knowing exactly where things will be placed according to like the floor plan, or do you still have, do you leave yourself wiggle
Well,
room?
we have what we call approvals at the end.
Yeah.
And we bring things in, things that are maybe hard to explain why they're needed.
Right.
But, and they,
Well,
they kid
and
me.
even if it's figured out,
Yeah, that's,
if
that's
it's, what's even better is when you walk in and Mark's reinvented it every time he walks in the room, like his showroom in New York.
Right.
It's the best retail in the world, and it's not even retail because every time you go in, it feels like something different that is a new invention, and you're like, and it's just a simple space, but it feels so different, and it expresses your personality and your goodness.
In your own home, are you changing things a lot?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you like,
I mean, they
I
kid,
need to move this sofa right now. It's
They-
11 p.m. Let's go.
they kid me in the office or amongst themselves because a lot of times things don't. And it's hard to explain that to a client too,
Right.
you know, that maybe it's going to be somewhere else, although now I've started doing that. But
Well, I think there is like an alchemy to an install where you do need a little, I mean, you have to be in the, yeah,
Mhm.
in the space and sort of make sure, I would think, but.
yeah, but I mean, the installs are very complete. It just might not be exactly where.
Right. You're not running down, you're not like, emergency.
Right. Well,
Please
But it's so
bring. We need a U-Haul full of.
It's so fun though, like sometimes during the install, I might have been there before, and then Mark's and his team were going through things, and you come in and you're like, oh, I didn't know you were going to do that. Like the thing you
Right.
thought was going to be in this room is over in that room, and it's so much better. And
So
most people
cool.
can't figure that little piece
Right.
of the puzzle out. And we planned it the whole time the other way,
Right.
and it's so much better. You're like, well, how did we not see that the whole time?
That's
But
intuition.
Mark sees it.
well,
Yeah.
you do too.
Well, you have to, I think one has to plan to make the environment in which that might be possible, that kind of flexibility.
Mm.
So it does actually require some, to your point, like it's very complete in terms of what you've thought of, but it may not exactly end up in those,
Right.
in that order. Yeah. And then how many projects are you working on at any given time? The two of
Together?
you? Yeah.
What do we have now?
Like how often do you speak every day?
Well, we speak with
I know.
Michelle almost every day. Do we have
Not
four?
as much as we'd like to.
No, definitely not. Do we have 4?
Probably, at least.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Should be all of them. Well, except for a couple with Coco.
Yeah.
I mean,
5?
some people have already heard this, but more than once I've said, if you're going to hire either one of us, hire him to the client, to a prospective client.
Not true.
Amazing. And does anybody have any questions for these two?
Are you all ready?
Yes.
I think what is so amazing about your work is that the detailing in the architecture is so off the charts. And it's not verbose, it's not loud. The details are quiet, but they're everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere. It's so buttoned up, but it's also really loose at the same time. So you guys, both of you have achieved this like magnificent way of expressing through architecture and design, like this very laid back vibe, but then there's all this there's a lot of control involved in what you're doing. Does that make sense? I mean, it's such a special place, and I love, like, well, I can only speak to this room. I've been in other projects of you, and I've known Mark for a really long time, but I think one of the things I think is so special about this house, and it's really the only house I'm super jealous of, honestly. I mean, there's not a lot of houses that I walk in and say, I really want this house. I want this house. But also, like, I keep telling people, I stayed there once. I slept until like 10:30. I never sleep. They thought it was dead, which could have been. But I think it's because the way the rooms are organized, they're so private. And like those rooms that face outside, everybody should be trying this, because the rooms that face outside and don't open up and fast, you don't hear somebody making coffee where you're like, I gotta get up. I need to be polite, get up in the middle and go have a cup of coffee. You don't smell the coffee. You don't experience like the life. You just feel you're in this little buttoned up, beautiful scenario. And it's really amazing. I mean, you two are so incredibly talented. I mean, it's just unbelievably amazing to me. I feel so grateful that you came. And I'm sure other people have questions, but I just wanted to say, thanks. Thanks for doing such great work, because I feel like we all have to learn from people like you guys. And there's not that many people out there talking about it. Everybody loves to show their houses, magazines, and it's great. But this type of work doesn't get out enough.
Thank you.
Are you going to do a book?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Uh-huh.
It won't be a normal book, though, will it?
No.
I hope not.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are. That's great that you think that.
This is going to be the scariest question, for sure.
So when you disagree or have a
That's a good
design,
question.
Like say you
Yeah.
want to do something, you're thinking another way. How do you resolve that in a positive way? Because your relationship is so amazing. It's like it's a dream.
It is.
It's great to watch from the outside, but clearly you're both creative and you're both designers in your own right. So when you have a disagreement or you're thinking a different way, how do you resolve that so that you can, so it's a positive thing for the client and it's still a piece of your own self in that? How do you manage that?
Are you talking to me or you?
Both of you. No, it is. I think that is a good point, because it's part of having the reason your relationship is so positive. There's obviously been some instance in which you weren't thinking exactly the same way.
I think, actually, I mean, my feeling is when we've disagreed, we didn't even know we were disagreeing, and something came out of it that was even
That's
better.
what I was going to say, yeah.
So I like it when you can.
We don't really disagree. It's not like.
It's not, yeah, it's like, what about this?
Yeah.
Or what about that?
Exactly.
Like, oh, I didn't think about that. And then all of a sudden, something comes out of one of us that wasn't what either one of us were thinking, and it's actually better than what we might have agreed on or done on our own.
Yeah.
It's like a band.
Right.
Not to get back to music again. But.
No, but that is, I think that's important, because how one manages those moments is sort of the determining factor. It's fine when everybody agrees and thinks the same thing and it's like, let's go. But also, I think that's part of the creative process where, to your point, you wind up with a new idea.
Well, we're both very open to ideas. So I think that probably.
And actually prefer to be in somewhere we haven't been before.
Yeah.
Which makes it a lot more fun and interesting and better outcome, I think.
Yeah.
What about when we disagree?
That's a different panel. It will be at the Goop conference. Talk about it.
I do think about just one house in particular. I'm sorry, but I think like whenever I'm trying to plan an event or a dinner somewhere, you want to plan an event or a dinner where everybody's going to want to go. Like, I always try to pick the most popular spot, because then I think, well, it's a safeguard. If you get invited to go to this house, people are not turning down. They want to all see it. So I think that's a really special. You guys are really just amazing. Super grateful. I know I'm not.
Can you talk about how you approach texture? Because I think texture
texture, talking about ceramics, the way you use wood, you use the metals, and how you approach that to give and thinking about, like, I thought it was so interesting what you were saying about rethinking from an architectural standpoint, inside out.
Mhm.
That's not a natural way to think, but it feels like when you look at so many of the projects you've done, there's a tremendous use of texture and why you do that and what you think that's going to solve both,
Well, I don't remember what this exact word is, but one of my favorite things in architecture is this Japanese concept. I think it's called ma, and it means like moonlight through the gates. And like, if you don't have the texture for the moonlight to fall on, it just falls flat. And when it falls on something like special like that, like dappled light of that tree coming through there or whatever, that's when it adds something. And it's like so subtle. It doesn't have to scream at you. It's like just
No.
touches you and makes you feel better.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying too. To always be aware of things.
Yeah.
Whether they're good or bad.
I know, you know, working for Ralph Lauren, you know, he's really disturbed a few mill workers where he's come in and said, I know this is a beautiful room with this reclaimed wood that's brown and beautiful, but let's make it white.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God. And there's mill workers crying in the corner, and then they paint it white, and you're like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful room I've ever seen because it's got the texture of that reclaimed wood that we had in there, but it is contrasted with the wood that's on the other side of the room. And those things when they, and that's what he does. Like, he makes sure that we don't paint the room the wrong color beforehand. Or, I mean, I'm liable to put a bookshelf in a wood room everywhere, and you're like, well, let's just tone this down a little bit.
Hold back.
Somebody has to fill those bookshelves.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, I actually had the pleasure to visit the house last night, and I agree with how beautiful and livable the spaces are. You guys have like your perfect ideal size room. It felt really elevated, but it wasn't too big. It was intimate, and I think that's like one of the more exceptional parts of that is being able to work within or create the size rooms that really are conducive to intimate, but have the flow of a bigger gathering or a family of 4 or 5. You guys have your ideal scale rooms if you had a choice.
It's usually smaller for me, but I think what I was saying about like putting furniture into plans right from the beginning that I learned working with you is that's because you're bringing the human feel to
Right.
it. And so it doesn't matter how big the room is. If it doesn't have the human feel, it's going to feel like a ballroom at the convention
Yeah,
center.
definitely.
But it doesn't have to.
No. Well, that's another thing that's great about this house. It's not a big house. It doesn't need to be.
Right.
I don't know if that really
No,
answered
but
your
I mean-
question.
It is, and it's interesting. I mean, basically what you're saying is that it's sort of intimate. The size of the room should accommodate essentially like what would be a normal kind of group sitting together or hanging out together. So bringing the human scale into it means that the room de facto remains on a smaller, because I think what you're sort of thinking of is the trend now to build as big as possible. Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody's pushing the limits of the lot, the limits of the, yeah.
Have the ability to like steer the client to, nice size, yes, and then I felt like the primary was an actual, it was an interesting shape, but like it was really intimate and nice. I just wasn't sure if in your head you had like, dimensions that that's what I love for.
Well, in this case, it was kind of
Yeah, a lot of it was sort of existed. I mean, we blew out here and there, and
right.
but I mean, you know, one of their children picked the smallest bedroom as his, and it's the best one because it's got this warmth, and it feels like you're kind of in a ship, and you're sort of over here all by yourself, but you're totally connected.
But
to
you have the
everybody
whole
else.
outside.
Yeah, and we're working on a big double height space that can seat like 40 or 50 people, and Mark's constantly like, to make sure it feels good when it's just 6 or 7 people in there.
That's
Like,
interesting.
You can't
So
feel
you don't feel like you're sitting in,
you can't feel
in
like
a
you're
cavern.
in this void.
Like cavern, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there another question over there? Oh, here.
What was the first part?
When you hit your stride. I mean, it's a little bit the apartment
Yeah,
that that's one reason we chose that apartment, the New York apartment, to show. It was sort of that moment, but you talk about it.
Together, that's kind of.
Yeah, that was very early in the formation of both of our firms, and we kind of came together by happen chance in a really good way, and
For sure.
kind of perfect.
Yeah.
When was that?
That was 2005, I think.
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
To fact check.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it. It feels like it was, yeah.
Time flies. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He survived. We have to give Mark a big round of applause.
Well, bye guys.
You lived.
Thanks for sitting through it.
You lived to tell the tale. Well done.